to this brief tutorial on how to complete a formal outline for your English course. So the first question you may be asking yourself is, why do I need a formal outline? Well, a formal outline will help aid you in the writing process. The whole goal of a formal outline is to help you organize your materials and your ideas in a logical format. A formal outline will help show you the relationship between the ideas and research you have in front of you and how to bring that together in an organized way in your essay. An outline also helps you construct an ordered overview of your information and help you define your boundaries and group together important information. Overall, spending the time to write a formal outline will make writing your rough draft much easier. There are several basic steps to writing a formal outline that we will discuss in this tutorial today. The steps include how to properly title your outline. Step 2 will discuss the introduction and thesis component of your formal outline. Step 3 will cover how to complete the body portion of your formal MLA outline. And step 4 will talk about the conclusion. So organizing your information in a formal MLA outline is extremely important, and there's a very specific structure you will follow for your formal MLA outline. First, it will begin with the title at the top of the paper, followed by using Roman numerals for the main sections or main headings of your essay. Formal Roman numerals will be followed by capital letters that you will use to indicate the paragraphs you plan to write in your essay. Under each paragraph, you will use Arabic numbers to specify the specific details that go along with that paragraph. Any additional details you have under those paragraphs, you will also use lowercase a, b, c, d for those smaller levels of detail. Remember, for each paragraph, should contain at least 2 items or 2 subtopics. And then remember, you will always put a period after each letter. Let's take a look at this closer, because I know this sounds confusing. But as you see it on paper and as we work through the steps today, you will find that it really is a simple and helpful way to help you organize your information. So as noted, this is what the final outline should look like if you're following MLA standards. Notice it always contains a title at the top. We're using our Roman numerals for sections, for instance, Roman numeral number 1 for your introduction, Roman numeral number 2 for your body paragraphs or several of your body sections, and then continuing on with those Roman numerals depending on how long your outline is. Notice next, under each section, you will find a heading, and then these capital A, B, C, and D indicate the paragraphs you plan to write in your essay. So for instance, this paragraph is going to be talking about family, and then you'll notice under that we have the Arabic numbers 1, 2, and 3. These are the details that will go in that paragraph. We'll talk more about this outlining process in detail now. But your final outline, formal outline in your English course should look something like this at the end. Let's go ahead and begin with step 1. As mentioned before, the first step of creating a formal outline is to make sure that you have a title centered at the top of your page. Think about your topic. For our sample outline here, you'll notice our topic is about Abraham Lincoln. So they've not only listed Abraham Lincoln, but also some great descriptive words to describe roughly what their paper is going to be about. Abraham Lincoln, a great man and politician. Notice that the title will always be centered on the page and all of the main words capitalized. Once you have your title written, you will actually begin the outlining process. Step 2, or the next step in your outline, will be to focus on the introduction section of your outline. Again, remember, when you start the first section of your outline, you'll use that Roman numeral 1 to label your introduction. Then remember, your introduction should be just one paragraph long for this paper. So you will list an uppercase A to indicate your very first one introductory paragraph. The A will be followed by using numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on for your basic facts you plan to include in your introductory paragraph. Notice that your last number should always be your thesis statement. Remember, for your introductory paragraph, you want to have a hook to gain your reader's interest. That's what you're beginning with here, followed by some general information. And then your introductory paragraph should always end with a solid thesis statement. So that means in your outline, you should include your solid thesis statement at the end of your outlined paragraph. If you need tips on how to use outlining format, remember hitting enter and tab will typically move you forward in your outline or back. If you're using any type of Microsoft Word program, typically this outline format will be automatic. But if you have any questions concerning formatting, please feel free to contact me. So again, for your introductory paragraph, you will use the Roman numeral 1, followed by the title Introduction, and then you will use a capital A to indicate that paragraph, your intro paragraph. You will begin your intro paragraph outlined with your hook, followed by some general information, and then you will end the outline of your introductory paragraph with the thesis statement. Now that you know how to complete the outline for your introductory paragraph, let's move on and talk about the body paragraphs. As you can see on the screen in front of you, we've already talked about our introductory paragraph and how to outline that. Next, you will move on and write the Roman numeral 2, indicating the first section of the body portion of your outline. You'll notice in the example here, they've titled this section of their outline as well. Let's talk about the body portion of our outline in a little bit more depth in step number 3. Now that you have your intro paragraph, for your body paragraph, as noted before, you'll write Roman numeral 2, followed by a general title for the first section of your body paragraph paper. Followed directly under this general title is where you will list the paragraphs you plan to discuss in that section of your paper. You will use capital A, B, C, D, and so on for each paragraph you plan to write under that section of your paper. Remember, don't forget to give each paragraph an informative title. Notice, for instance, in the example here, again, still dealing with Abraham Lincoln, the writer has decided the first part of their body is going to deal with the early life of Abraham Lincoln. So their first body paragraph is going to talk about family. Next is going to talk about their place of living or where he grew up. The next paragraph is going to talk about his early education. And then the next paragraph is going to speak a little bit about the hard work that he completed during that time. It's essential with your outline that you include titles that make sense to you. Again, remember, the purpose of the outline is to group information together that you feel like belongs and flows from one topic to the next. So make sure you use proper titles that give you an idea of what that paragraph is going to be about. Under each paragraph, you'll notice that you need to include details. What are you going to talk about in that paragraph? What's some of the information that you found in your research that you plan to include in that paragraph? List this information below each paragraph by using the numbers 1, 2, and 3, and then any subtopics you might have, you'll use the lowercase a, b, and c. Again, the more information you include in the body of your outline, the easier it will be to write your overall rough draft. You can have as many paragraphs as you need. You can continue beyond C, D, E, F, G, as many paragraphs as you think are needed for that section of your essay. Also, the number of paragraphs you'll have is really dependent on the length of your overall essay as well. Couple other tips. For instance, some essays make sense to break them up into more sections for the body of your essay. So if you have another section that you plan to cover in the body portion of your essay, you will continue that by using the next Roman numeral 3. Remember, in our example before, we had our early life and family. That's just one section of Abraham Lincoln's life. We know that this essay is going to need to talk about more than that. So again, here we see the next Roman numeral 3, the title of what this section is going to talk about. This section is going to talk about the wartime during Abraham Lincoln's life. And then again, we see the paragraphs follow under that. This author also felt like there needed to be another section in their research paper. So they continued on with each Roman numeral, using as many sections as they needed to properly cover the information they planned to share in the body portion of their essay. Once you've carefully outlined the body portion of your essay and you've organized your information, you'll move on to the last and final section of your MLA outline, and that's the conclusion. So the conclusion will always be, again, the last section of your outline. You will again use Roman numerals to label it. The Roman numeral number will depend on how many sections you've included in the body portion of your outline. And you will simply write the title conclusion, just like we did for the introduction. Remember, your closing should typically be just one paragraph long. So you should only have one paragraph labeled under your closing. There are a couple key things you need to remember to include in the closing portion of your outline. One, you need to remember to restate your thesis. All good closing paragraphs always restate the thesis using some other type of wording. So make sure you've restated the thesis in the outline as well. The other thing you want to do in the closing portion of your outline is to restate some of the most important points you made in your essay. It's important to write those down to remind yourself when you actually write your closing to include those in. And then finally, I would suggest writing a note to yourself of wrapping up your ending. How do you plan to end your essay? Think about that. What final original thought would you like to include there? If you're thinking about using some type of quote and then ending with your own words, think about including that in this final step of your closing. Again, the main thing to remember for your closing is it always comes at the end. You will still use your Roman numerals, you'll title it conclusion, and you must restate your thesis in that closing paragraph. So a couple quick reminders of what we've gone over. Remember, you always want to begin your formal MLA outline by including a title at the top of the page centered. You will use Roman numerals for all of the main headings of your paper. This includes a Roman numeral for your introduction, all of the sections of the body of your paper, and then a Roman numeral for the closing. You will use capital letters for all of the paragraphs you plan to write, and then Arabic numbers for the specific details that go under those paragraphs. Remember, you need to have at least 2 subtopics for each paragraph, at least a 1 and a 2 for each paragraph. And then finally, don't forget to put periods after each heading as well. So what's next? If you need more help on the outline, remember there are plenty of resources to help you. You can always come into office hours and receive additional help from your teacher. You can also watch recordings from Class Connects or rewind this tutorial and rewatch it as many times as you need. Also, check Doc Sharing for additional resources. I've posted several student examples in Doc Sharing that are a great resource for you to review as well. Your online lessons have also walked you through how to complete a formal outline. They've also provided several additional resources within the lessons, so make sure you check those out. Remember, you can always K-mail your teacher with specific questions and include portions of your outline for them to review. And then lastly, the Purdue OWL Writing Lab website is a wonderful resource with examples and step-by-step instructions as well. I look forward to seeing your final product of your outline, and I hope you have a great rest of the week.